Hello everybody and welcome back to another vlog. I'm Christy and we're joined by Logan today. It is a chilly fall day. The horses couldn't go out last night due to the weather, so today I came early and we just lunged because I knew they had been inside for a while, so I figured Logan would be a little stiff plus a little excited. So we did a nice long session of free lunging and then lunging on the line in the indoor. He was very good. I didn't film any of it because I myself have had a bit of an injury. My dog, and so he actually pulled my arm and it pulled my neck and my upper back and my shoulder a little bit out of alignment, and I was having like shooting nerve pain. It was really terrible. It was going up into my ear and my eye was watering and my jaw really hurt and I had like a lot of pain and it was burning. So I had to miss a day of work last week, and the next day I went to my chiropractor and I didn't even have an appointment, and I was just basically like, please. And he squeezed me in. Some very nice man was like, yeah, you can have my spot for now. I don't have a tea time until 11. So that was great. So I got that put back in. Yeah, so anyway, intro, that's really long. Sorry about that, I was just rambling. But today I wanted to kind of follow up on the last vlog, which was the Afraid to Ride vlog. And that does happen to me, frequently, where I am a little bit like, I'm not sure I want to do that. And it's not always just, I'm afraid to get on the horse. I just don't want to do something in that particular situation. And sometimes it's definitely a very smart, very self-preservation, and a very conservative thing. And sometimes it's, I know it's a little bit residual from my old fears. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit of a background about that and what I think are two fundamental things for getting through fear of riding or getting back on the horse or doing something in particular when you're riding a horse. So my fear kind of happened due to a few different things. It wasn't just one incident. I have to keep switching arms because this arm really is still kind of tired and muscle sore. So I had come back to riding around the age of 32. So I had about a 15 to 16 year break. Came back to riding and didn't have any like fear issues. In fact, just kind of went right back into jumping and feeling good about all that. And I'd even fallen off a couple of times in that period and it was fine. Like, didn't have a problem with it. But then one day I was riding a horse who I really liked, and he was very big. He was 17 too, I think. So it was a long way to the ground. Let's just say. The ring was a rubber ring, like it had the rubber footing, so it was actually a good place to land. But what had happened was we were jumping over, I think it was even a roll top. So it was a wider fence. And as I said, he's a bigger horse, but he was super nimble. So I was in, jumping position. He was landing, he landed, and he literally, like a cat, went to the right and then to the left. And I, being in that, not seated position, already leaning forward, just went to the right as he went to the left. And I landed on this shoulder, which is probably why it comes out and, gives me problems now. And yeah, I wasn't majorly hurt, but for some reason, it just mentally really got me that particular fall. Mentally, I was like, ooh, this is not cool. So I did get back on, but my whole right arm was tingling and numb. So I didn't feel like I could really, do anything. So it just felt better to get off, honestly, just due to that. I mean, there's a time to get back on the horse and a time when you're like, this actually isn't safe. I can't really use my right arm. So no. So I got off and I tried it. I thankfully had a chiropractor that I worked with. And the next day I went in and she was able to put it back in place and I was fine. But then I went back and I was like terrified to ride the next time. It was just, I couldn't even stop the body reaction that I had. It was like sweating and, heavy breathing. And I just couldn't stop the falling sensation in my stomach that I would feel. And so that is how I kind of became a little bit more afraid to ride sometimes. So what happened next was, in a roundabout way, I ended up with this horse. His name is Lamster, or was Lamster, and he was an off-the-track thoroughbred, a war horse. He'd raced for 8 years and super sweet, very athletic, but did have some undiagnosed issues with probably his SI, maybe his spine. He'd had chiropractic work and vet work and stuff like that, and we couldn't really pinpoint it, but he would buck fiercely at the canter. So it was a little surprising. It wasn't all the time. It was mostly in smaller circles and definitely in the corners. So it started to become one of those things where when I would go to canter, I'd be afraid because A, this horse could start bucking at any point in time, or B, we could get into the canter and he would start bucking in the corners. So it definitely impacted how I felt about going into the canter and cantering all the way around a ring. And every time I would go to canter, I would have that feeling in my body, the physiological reaction, and it took a really long time to work through it. And I think what it comes down to is trust of yourself and trust of a horse or the horse, or any horse. And both of those things require time and training. So you need to be doing it in order to trust yourself to do it. You have to show yourself that you can do it, and you have to experience the horse being trustworthy for you to trust them. So it is something that you can work through, and it's going to take time. One of the things I did to really help me overcome the whole body physiological reaction to canter was to kind of, I guess we could say, desensitize myself to it. But I really had to learn to trust both my ability and the horse. And so I worked with a trainer. In this case, it was James McDonald at Mill Street Stables. And I worked with, this is Austin. He's a half draft owned by Terry Lee. Maybe she's watching. And he's wonderful. He's very trustworthy. And so what we would do was we would literally ride without stirrups in circles, because I was afraid of circles and corners at the canter. But figuring that if I could do it without stirrups, I could definitely do it with stirrups. So this was the exercise. And we did this over and over again. Austin, so nice. And his canter was wonderful. And so it really helped me to overcome the fear, especially of this walk to canter transition. And I learned to sit it, and I learned that it was okay. It took a while, but I did it. And fast forward a few years to, this is when I was taking lessons at Cold Spring Farm, which was more local. And I am here at a show at Mill Street. And this is Hickory. She was a thoroughbred mare, and she was probably one of the more pivotal horses in helping me work through my anxiety, because she was better at the canter than she was at the trot. And the cool thing about her was that she was so sensitive to how you felt and the tiny movements you make when you get tense. So you're going to see here, and I have on the screen, at some point you have to decide what you want more. And she really helped me figure that out, because if I was at all like, no, slow down, I'm scared, like I was right there, she was like, we're not jumping the fence. You're not feeling like we should jump the fence, so why should we jump the fence? And so she was the horse who really made me have to decide and to have confidence in myself every time. And, you know, she was very, very safe. And so I trusted her, but and so I was able to have that neutrality with her where she was like, we'll do it and we'll be fine, but you need to want it. And so this whole line here was me having to decide what I wanted to do more. If I wanted to just kind of be a little bit afraid and take everything really super conservatively and add a stride and go really slow, or if I wanted to trust myself and trust her and open up her stride to where it should be, where I knew, I mean, these were 2-foot fences, you know, very easy. And here we go. Like, this is where I decided, like, no, we can do this. We can do it. There we go. We're going to get the right striding. And I just really loved this horse because of that. And so the next part of this round is really like a celebration. Kind of, I was like, wow, look, we can do this. And we've got this good stride. And when you have a good medium canter, which Mimi always impressed upon me, medium canter, because you can slow it down a touch or you can speed it up a little. And you don't have to worry about a perfect stride, which is really what my anxiety started to manifest into, which I'll go into a little bit more in the next clip. But I became way too careful about, like, now I wasn't afraid to canter, but now I really wanted to control things. And so this was just such a good exercise with this horse. She really taught me a lot, and I'm super duper grateful for her and for Mimi's tutelage at this time in my life. So now I'm taking lessons with Logan and doing exercises like this, like these very simple yet complex pole work exercises, is really good for my brain and for me to learn to be precise but relax through it, which is part of what my fear is now manifesting. And I'm not afraid to canter anymore. I'm not afraid to ride. I'm not afraid to jump. I just now want to control everything. And when Robyn Null, I'm taking lessons with now, when she asks me to do something that is a little hard or complicated, I get a little bit nervous about wanting to do it right and wanting to be perfect. So that's kind of how the fear is morphing now. Yeah, that's what happens right in this moment when Robyn is going to set up the canter poles.
And I think that's what it is, right? Yeah. If you just gotta stay out of his way. Yeah, you did good. That was really good. So let's walk a second and then we'll go the other way.